Now at noon, investigators hope a glove found near the home of Nancy Guthrie could bring a breakthrough in this case. The latest details on the investigation.
Another government shutdown means paychecks for some federal workers are in jeopardy. We are following the impact today on airports.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Anthony Potts. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Before we get to our top stories, let's take a little live look outside,
nice
shall we?
Mild,
shall we?
Right?
Yes, mild.
It's
going to feel spring-like out there. Caitlin, Cody, let's get the details here.
I think everyone is just excited to get outside.
This is great.
Let's go. It's going to be even warmer today than it was yesterday. We hit 60 degrees yesterday, and today we're pushing into the 60s. Satellite radar does show quiet conditions out there from Chicago points west. We have blue sky. We have a few clouds still holding on in northwest Indiana from Lake and Porter County, Gary to the lakefront, so south from the Chicago area points south. That's where we have cloud cover now, which this morning was the opposite. We had clouds really from I-80 points north, but now most of us getting in on the sunshine, and today is going to be mostly sunny. Temperatures cranking into the 60s already for a few of us. I see a 62 there in Aurora, 63 in Morris, 59 in Kankakee, as well as at O'Hare. Temperatures in the upper 50s at the lakefront. It's 56 and almost 60 in Gary. Here's your day planner. So around 62 degrees by 4, 56 by 7. So this whole day is going to be mild with highs, as mentioned, pushing to the low and mid 60 degree range. Some of you southwest of the city, LaSalle County, Kankakee, you could be pushing into the mid and upper 60s today. It is lovely. Here's your 3-day forecast. We expect some fog to develop again tonight into tomorrow with a high of 56 degrees. Then Tuesday night into Wednesday, we have the chance for rain and even a few thunderstorms could be rolling on through. Wednesday, the best potential for wet weather will be early. Then highs are back to the mid 60s. Now we have more wet weather before we get to the weekend. And then this weekend, winter is back. I'll show you that on your full 7-day forecast coming up.
All right. Thanks, Caitlin. Well, the search is continuing this morning for Nancy Guthrie.
It's been over 2 weeks now since she was reported missing.
Yeah, so far, no suspects have been identified as investigators sift through tens of thousands of tips and also some new evidence. The FBI says a glove was found 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home, similar to the ones worn by the suspect when he was caught on a surveillance camera outside of that home. Coming up, we're going to have a live report from Tucson with the latest on this case. The Department of Homeland Security remains shut down this afternoon. A live look at the nation's capital. And lawmakers could now get a funding deal done by the holiday weekend, with Republicans largely rejecting Democrats' demands on reforms to ICE.
All right, the partial shutdown is expected to impact TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA, but not ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, which received billions in funding last year.
Our expectation that we will respond to the unserious offer that Republicans have made that clearly omits things that need to happen, including but not limited to our demand that the Fourth Amendment be respected.
We're talking, but, we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in history. We have to protect law enforcement.
The partial shutdown may continue through the State of the Union address, which is scheduled for February 24th.
And as lawmakers navigate this shutdown, it's hitting air travel particularly hard, especially during this long holiday weekend.
Saquon joins us live from O'Hare, and we are expecting impacts to air travel. How is it looking out there this afternoon?
Hey guys, yeah, so I will say right now we have seen some rushes here and there, nothing crazier than your typical rushes that you would see at an airport. So things have been moving along pretty okay here. I will say, however, we have seen the number of flights getting delayed increase throughout the day. Earlier, when we first got here at around 6 o'clock this morning, we were looking at about 70 or so delays out of O'Hare International. That number now is at about 270 or over that. So these delays have gone up and up throughout the day. Over at Midway, we're seeing about 53 delays so far. And really, when it comes to these cancellations, we're not seeing any sort of, major impacts like we are with those delays. Right now at O'Hare, we're seeing about 10 cancellations total for the day. At Midway, that number is even less than that. Of course, we know that these impacts to air travel are expected. That is what travel experts have been saying. And that's because these TSA agents, while they are here and clocked in working, they're not actually getting paid for the time that they're putting in right now. So So these travel experts are basically warning anyone who has to go to an airport anytime soon to get there earlier than you would maybe even think, because of course the chances of TSA agents calling out have increased since this shutdown started. Guys?
I say a lot of people are saying, not again, here we go again. So how is this shutdown actually different from the last one we had at the start of the year?
Yeah, so this shutdown in particular kind of affects the agencies that are housed under Department of Homeland Security specifically. And when you think about that last shutdown that we had kind of at the start of the year, towards the end of 2025 even, you could say, we know air traffic controllers and TSA agents were both taking a really hard hit because they were not getting paid at the time. This shutdown is a little bit different because air traffic controllers are technically employed by the Federal Aviation Administration, not DHS, right? So that would fall under Department of Transportation, not Homeland Security. So FAA, we know that when it comes to these air traffic controllers, they are still showing up to work and still getting paid. It really is just those TSA agents who are showing up without getting a paycheck.
All right, Say, before we let you go, what is next? Any key dates we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, so Congress is currently on recess right now. We do know that both the House and the Senate are scheduled to return on February 23rd to, of course, negotiate a deal. And we also know that these impacts could last for as long as the shutdown lasts. So we will have to see what the two sides come to terms with. Guys?
All right, Saquon reporting live for us from O'Hare. Thanks for that. Well, today is President's Day, as you know, a federal holiday, which means some businesses and services are unavailable. That includes federal government offices, some public schools and banks. Also, the stock market and U.S. bond markets will not be conducting trading and business today. A crucial week for the Bears franchise.
Indeed it is. On Thursday, the House Revenue and Finance Committee will hold hearings on a plan to help build a stadium in Illinois, in Arlington Heights. The measure would provide financing for infrastructure, would also give the Bears and some of the other major developers the ability to negotiate property tax rates. Last week, Governor Pritzker sounded optimistic about the directions of these conversations.
A lot of discussion, a lot of ongoing conversation with the Bears, and indeed, frankly, progress that's been made. So I'm pleased about that. But I'm going to let the Bears talk about what it is that they want to get done and how they want to get it done.
Momentum around the Arlington Heights project has picked up since the Bears floated a possible move to Northwest Indiana. Meantime, the clock is ticking for lawmakers in Indiana to finalize an agreement for a stadium. The Senate passed a measure that would create the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, which would be responsible for planning and financing the project. But that bill is yet to make its way through the state house, so they can get it on the governor's desk by the end of the month.
Governor Pritzker will be delivering his State of the State address on Wednesday. He's expected to talk about the state's $2.2 billion budget gap, as well as the impact President Trump is having on Illinois during his second term. Pritzker is running for a third term, but is also viewed as a possible contender for the presidential race in 2028. And Fox Chicago has you covered for the Illinois primaries. Beginning tonight at 6 p.m., Paris is going to be hosting a series of debates with candidates in the top races that you need to be on the watch for. Now, that includes the battle to replace retiring Senator Dick Durbin, the Cook County assessor, and several more.
Chicago police are still searching for the men responsible in 2 deadly carjackings.
Roseanne has more on an investigation that stretches from one part of the city to the other.
Well, the first incident happened here in Boys Town, and then not an hour later, there was another fatal shooting in the Bronzeville neighborhood. Police say they do believe the two are connected. It was February 11th, just before 4 a.m., when police say 22-year-old Darwin Tirado was sitting in a car with another man on the 700 block of West Waveland. 2 armed men approached, demanded their car and property, but police say they shot and killed Tirado as they fled. Police say within the hour, Tirado's car was involved in another deadly carjacking in Bronzeville at 37th Street and South Lake Park Avenue. That's where a man was found shot in the head. As police investigate, family and friends of Tirado held a candlelight vigil over the weekend. Chef Art Smith was on hand. He employed both Tirado and his mother and says the community lost a bright young talent.
Very remarkable young man. Way too young for something this horrible to happen to.
Residents in Lakeview call it extremely sad.
It can be hard to believe and to really let it sink in, the idea that this could happen somewhere right on a corner like this, someone just sitting in their car. I mean, it makes you a little nervous about what could happen next, what's going on.
Unfortunate, scary, unexpected around this area.
Some candles and flowers still remain at the scene where the vigil was held over the weekend. Police have not yet offered any updates on their investigation. In Lakeview, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
More to come on Fox 32 News at noon.
Hawaii's Kilauea volcano is putting on a show once again. Look there how high the lava fountains are as it erupts.
Former President Obama speaking for the first time publicly about a video posted by President Trump. Welcome back. It's 12:13. Investigators are awaiting DNA results from a glove they found near Nancy Guthrie's home to see if it could get them any closer to a suspect in her disappearance. The Pima County Sheriff believes someone took Guthrie from her home against her will more than 2 weeks ago.
Asher Red is in Tucson, Arizona right now. And Ash, the FBI says agents found this glove in a field near the side of the road about 2 miles from the Guthrie's home. Is that correct?
Well, Sylvia and Anthony, the FBI found, says investigators found 16 gloves in the area around Nancy Guthrie's home. 15 of those belonged to investigators and that were tossed on the ground while they were searching that area. But the FBI says this one glove appears to be a match to the glove that the suspect was wearing, who was caught on Guthrie's doorbell camera. Now, the Pima County Sheriff's Department sent one of those gloves to a forensics lab in Florida for DNA testing. The FBI says the preliminary results are in, but they're just waiting on confirmation before adding this unknown male DNA profile into its national database called CODIS. Right here, you can see the suspect approach Guthrie's front door wearing a black glove and a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack likely bought from Walmart. Now, the FBI describes this person as a man between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build.
Let's hope that this glove comes back with a positive hit in the CODIS system. If not, then they will likely go into the genealogical DNA systems to see if there's a match there, because again, CODIS is only for those that are in the criminal system already.
Meanwhile, Fox News Digital has learned that investigators are using a high-tech Bluetooth scanner on the bottom of a law enforcement helicopter trying to pick up a signal from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. The helicopter has been flying in low, slow grid patterns in the area around Nancy's home. Now, Guthrie's daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, has also released a new video on social media speaking directly to the suspect and pleading with them to do the right thing.
I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing.
And neighbors and friends are contributing to a growing memorial of flowers and notes outside Nancy Guthrie's home at the end of her driveway. Now, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for any information leading to Guthrie's recovery or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. Sylvia and Anthony?
All right, Asher Red, thank you very much for that report from Tucson, Arizona. We appreciate it, sir. All right, a man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a Jewel location in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He was arrested in Phoenix last Friday. Police say Theodore and another suspect tried to steal from the store in that neighborhood when a security guard confronted them. The security guard and two other people were shot during that incident. Other news, Attorney General Pam Bondi claims that all of the Epstein files are now released. This comes nearly 2 months after the legal deadline laid out in the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The files, which Bondi claims are newly released, include several pages of names that she says appear in the Epstein records, along with a selection of photos, though questions do remain about whether the material is actually new. Norovirus is spreading once again, causing vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. Doctors say most cases do clear up in a few days, but prevention is the key here, so heads up on that.
Yeah, and joining us now to talk about this is Dr. Joanna Bisgrove. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Let's talk about how bad is this situation in our area, and are you seeing a lot of cases?
Yes, so we are definitely seeing a lot of cases. Completely not surprising. Norovirus tends to peak in the winter and spring because how it spread. Norovirus is spread by close contact and with other people, with sharing food, and in the winter and early spring, we are all together. And so it spreads very, very easily. CDC is seeing higher incidence of norovirus and wastewater in the Midwest and the Northeast. And so, yeah, this is definitely going up here, but not surprised at all.
Okay, so in terms of preventing this, protecting ourselves, what's your advice there? And if we were to get it, is there any treatment for it, or what's the protocol at home if we get it?
Okay, so the first thing in trying to prevent, clean, and more clean. Norovirus is a very pesky little thing. It survives on food. It can survive on the surfaces. So first things first, wash your hands. And then wash your hands, clean down any surfaces. If you are someone who works with food, especially professionally, and you have norovirus symptoms, please stay home. If you are an employer of such a person, please make sure they can stay home. This is, in order to prevent spread, it is extraordinarily important that people stay home, people wash their hands, people clean surfaces. All of those things are extremely important in preventing the spread of norovirus.
Okay, so it can spread fairly easily. What if you're in a situation where a family member has already had it? Is there a chance you can get it again?
Norovirus, even though as the whole, there's a bunch of different noroviruses, like you can get the same symptoms. So if you get a different variant, you could get sick again. If someone in your home gets it and then you get it, then that's usually the same variant or what we call type of a norovirus. And then that, usually you won't get that specific type again, but there are many different types, subtypes. Norovirus, it can mutate or change rapidly, just like the flu can, a little bit faster than the flu actually. And so if you do get sick, or someone in your house gets sick, really important, let them be in their own room, let them have their own, if it's possible, have their own bathroom, clean everything, super important.
Okay, great advice, Doctor. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Well, less than 2 months into the new year, and measles cases apparently are climbing across the country.
Yes, even as vaccination rates decline, public health experts still stress that that is the best way to protect yourself and protect those who are vulnerable. Sue Guzman reports.
Public health experts calling for more vaccinations against measles as outbreaks continue to spread across the country.
Fewer and fewer kids are getting all of their childhood vaccines, and that includes the MMR.
According to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there have been 910 confirmed cases of measles as of February 12th, with 5 new outbreaks this year.
The main difference with this new variant is it does seem to be a little bit more contagious than some other strains.
The respiratory virus is spread via air droplets when someone contagious is coughing, sneezing, or talking. General symptoms may include fever or a runny nose.
It's not until that classic rash starts that we understand it's something more than any other virus.
With the outbreak threatening the U.S. measles elimination status, public health experts say the best and most efficient way to combat the spread is by getting the MMR shot.
2 doses of this vaccine is 97% effective in preventing measles cases. Plus, it protects the most vulnerable people, which are children under the age of 5.
In South Carolina, where hundreds of cases have been reported and emergency rooms are already full with infants and small children, the health department launched free mobile health clinics for checkups and vaccinations.
I'm glad. I'm very, very glad that they're vaccinated. I don't have to be worried about them getting it no matter where they go.
The CDC recommends that children receive 2 doses of the MMR vaccine. The first dose between 12 months and 15 months of age, and the second at 4 through 6 years old. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
All right, some baby food from the company Initiative Foods is being recalled. The recall includes Tippy Toes brand apple pear banana fruit puree. The FDA says this product could contain elevated levels of patulin, which comes from mold that grows in fruit. Impacted products have a best by date of July 17th, 2026. If you do have this product, throw it away or take it back to the store for a refund.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has issued a large recall on ground beef. The meat may be contaminated with E. coli. The recall affects around 23,000 pounds of ground beef produced by CS Beef Packers. The Food Inspection and Safety Service identified the presence of E. coli during a routine test. The USDA says the recalled products were intended for food service locations, such as restaurants and cafeterias, instead of grocery stores. There are no reported illnesses yet from this product.
A recall is being expanded. This one involves peanut butter products sold in 40 different states, including Illinois. The recall was first announced last year for products from Ventura Foods. The reason here, there might be pieces of blue plastic in the food. The recalled products are mainly single-serve peanut butter and jelly packets. You can find more info on our website, fox32chicago.com.
It is Monday. Let's take a live look outside. It was a mild weekend and nice. And look at this shot. Absolutely gorgeous. This morning was so interesting, Caitlin, because I saw all this fog drifting by.
Yeah.
It was really intense.
It was. We had a dense fog advisory this morning. So you wake up thinking it's going to be a really beautiful sunny day. And then you look out and you can't see anything. Well, as you can see from these cameras, the fog is gone. It is going to be a beautiful rest of our day. Temperatures pushing into the 60s. Looking at our satellite and radar, you can see a few of us still have clouds out there, like in northwest Indiana, southern LaSalle County, too. So I'm talking about mostly Porter County, LaPorte County. You've got some cloud cover. Same thing in Merrillville. But the rest of us, mostly sunny. And that's really going to be the case for Chicagoland for the rest of the day. Temperatures, they're already pushing into the 60s. You can see behind me, 59 at the lakefront now, and in Gary, it's 54 at Michigan City, but 61 in Kankakee, 62 in Aurora to Morris. So the temperature is warmer than they were even yesterday as we work our way into the next couple of hours. Here's our futurecast. Speaking of 4:15, stop the timeline because take a look at these temperatures. 62 at O'Hare, 63 at Midway. We are seeing the 50s for a few of us as we round the lake, especially in that Michiana area, LaPorte to Berrien County. By 7 o'clock, temperatures back down to the low and mid 50s. And then tonight, we stay elevated in the 40s. This is 2 a.m. and it's 43 degrees outside. It's going to stay nice into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, some of us tagging the upper 30s, but then we're quickly warming back into the 50s. Tomorrow, though, is when we start to change the weather. So it's very quiet today outside of that fog that we were just talking about. By the way, it could be a touch gusty today. 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. But tomorrow is when the chance for rain gets introduced to the forecast again. In the evening, scattered showers are possible. And then tomorrow night and a Wednesday, we could see a few rumbles of thunder before things do dry out again. Temperatures rebounding back to the 60s for Wednesday. But then more rain is expected to end the week, Thursday into Friday. And then this weekend, the 30s are back. I'll show you that with your full 70 forecast coming up. Anthony.
Okay, thank you very much, Caitlin. Appreciate it. No shortage of drama this weekend at this year's Daytona 500. Several crashes, including one on the final lap. Right before the finish line, Tyler Reddick managed to avoid it just in time to capture the checkered flag. This would be Reddick's first Daytona 500 win and a historic win for team owner Michael Jordan.
I can't even believe it. Yeah, I mean, it was so gratifying. I mean, we had 4 guys that were really fighting, that was helping each other out. I mean, you never know how these races are going to end, right? It's like you just try to survive. And, I mean, we just hung in there all day. I mean, we great strategy by the team, and we gave ourselves a chance at the end. And, look, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It feels like I won a championship, but until I get my ring, I won't even know.
Jordan's team started racing back in 2021, and this is their first Daytona win.
I guess there's a ring involved, right?
There is. Okay. Yeah, he's got a lot of those.
Wow, no kidding. That's cool. The Chicago Auto Show wrapping up today at McCormick Place, the final day for car lovers to check out the latest vehicles and test tracks, that is, from major automakers. Jeep and Volkswagen, just to name a few. You can purchase tickets in person or online at ChicagoAutoShow.com. Some new changes are coming for high school football players. The IHSA says that member schools have voted to move the start of practice for the upcoming season to August 5th. In addition, each player will be required to complete 12 days of on-field practice before they are eligible to compete in their first game. The earlier start comes after member schools voted in December to expand the playoffs by 1 week.
All right, the NBA All-Star Game last night had a surprise guest and a viral moment. Take a look.
Intensity early. Jokic got the deflection out of bounds.
Look at Barack.
Mr. President Barack Obama.
He's even cool when the ball's coming at him. No problem.
Former President Barack Obama sitting courtside along with former First Lady Michelle Obama. But that wasn't what went viral. A loose ball headed straight toward them. Barack Obama caught it with a smile. He then handed it back to Phoenix Suns player Devin Booker, and that created that unforgettable moment there. All right, today is the last day. Heads up, everybody. Last day of the coat drive, the Bears coat drive. So get that gently used coat out of the closet if you've been procrastinating on that. Take it to Jewel. This is the big partnership between Jewel, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers. They're obviously needing your help, keeping folks warm. You just drop it off at your local Jewel, and you can find more info online at chicagobears.com/coat drive.
A distillery in Wisconsin has opened up a pop-up bar on a frozen lake.
Yeah, it's a unique spot to do this. It started selling drinks just in time for the sturgeon spearing season. Josh Cavender has the story.
It's funny.
A mile out from the shore of Lake Winnebago sits an unlikely sight. The first ice bar run by Sturgeon Spirits in Oshkosh.
So we are standing on about 2 feet of frozen ice as we made our way out here, and you can kind of see what we have. We have a nice pop-up bar, and we have cocktails, and we have bottles.
The bar is a fully legal operation, thanks to some creative loopholes and a change in alcohol laws back in 2024 that allowed a second location.
It said the second retail license could be anywhere. It didn't have any specifications, and I said from the very minute I started thinking about this, I'm like, how do we sell our product on the lake during sturgeon season?
The bar on the ice is offering 7 specialty drinks to those brave enough to make the journey a mile off the shore, and they'll be retired once the bar closes up shop. Visitors who made their way to the bar say it's worth the drive.
It was a little scary at first driving out, but it's been so much fun. Everybody that's been here so far has stopped by, had a couple drinks, talked, and I met a few people who are sturgeon spearers. I caught my first sturgeon. Yay.
It's pretty neat. It's cool that it's a local business and everything. And a lot of people have always talked about someone should put a bar and sell drinks out here. They'd probably make a killing, so now someone's doing it.
The bar isn't just for those spearing sturgeon. It's open to everyone.
I mean, I think a minority of people are actual spearers. They just wanted to be, they needed an excuse to get together, get out on the lake, enjoy a beautiful day, have a cocktail with friends. And that's really what Sturgeon Spirits is all about.
All right, 40 families are moving into brand new affordable apartments thanks to the Hispanic Housing Development Corporation.
Yeah, the new project opened last week right across the street from Humboldt Park. The project is made up of 10 one-bedroom apartments, 25 two-bedroom apartments, and 5 three-bedroom apartments. It also has on-site amenities like a community room and laundry facility. Alderman Jesse Fuentes joined us on Good Day Chicago to talk about the need for more affordable housing and how this project just touches the surface.
They remain on a waiting list. My office holds a waiting list of about 700 individuals and families that are waiting for affordable housing. It's why I am a firm advocate for affordable housing. Now in the 26th ward, we have about 300 more units in queue, but we still got to finance them and close the deals. But I'm committed to making sure we can house these families.
HHDC has developed more than 4,600 affordable units over the past 50 years in both Humboldt Park and Westtown.
Today, the DuSable History Museum is celebrating a major milestone. The museum is marking its 65th anniversary with a community birthday celebration at its Hyde Park campus. Founded in 1961 by Dr. Margaret Burroughs, the DuSable was the nation's first independent museum dedicated to preserving and sharing Black history, art, and culture. Today's celebration includes remarks, a cake cutting, and community events honoring its legacy. All right, it is a half hour after noon here. Former President Barack Obama is breaking his silence about that racist post made by President Trump's Truth Social account. In an interview with liberal podcaster Brian Tyler Cohen, Obama called the post, quote, deeply troubling.
First of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction. But, as I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness. And there's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum.
The video in question depicted the former president and his wife, Michelle Obama, as apes. Trump has refused to apologize for that video, blaming a staffer for the mistake and insisting he had not seen the final frames of the video, which contain the offensive content.
New details today in the controversial death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Died in 2024 in a Russian prison, but new reports say he was poisoned. Russian leaders initially claimed that he got sick and lost consciousness while on a walk. Now, a new statement by European NATO countries concludes it was a type of frog poison that the Russian government used to murder Navalny. Supporters of his gathered in Chicago saying that the Russian government oppresses each one of its citizens.
Most of us, we were faced of 5-10 years of charge because we were against the war, against the Putin, we were the human rights, we were for democracy. We have no democracy, we have just a regime which killing people. Even right now, you seeing me, and this Putin's regime is killing someone.
And the Kremlin rejects the EU's accusations, calling it propaganda. President Trump says his new Board of Peace is pledging $5 billion to rebuild Gaza. The money would also reportedly commit thousands of personnel to international stabilization and police forces in the war-torn territory. The president did not detail which member nations are contributing to the fund. The UN, World Bank, and EU estimate that the rebuilding of the Palestinian territory will cost in the neighborhood of $70 billion.
Warner Brothers Discovery is reportedly reconsidering its sale options after receiving an enticing takeover offer from Paramount Global, Bloomberg reports. Paramount raised its all-cash bid and added financial incentives, including covering a $2.8 billion breakup fee tied to Warner's existing deal with Netflix. Warner had agreed in December to sell to Netflix, but the revised offer could spark a bidding war as both companies signal that they are willing to pay more.
Markets are closed for President's Day, but tax season is upon us. Changes coming to H&R Block's tax forms thanks to the budding influencer market. Jerry Willis has those stories and more in today's business headlines.
Markets are closed Monday for the President's Day holiday, and Volkswagen believed to be cutting costs again. Reports in Germany say VW is planning on downsizing all its brands by 20% in the next couple of years. The CEO revealed a massive savings plan while meeting with VW executives in mid-January. The update is expected in March. Tax season is in full swing, and for the first time, H&R Block has added creator to the list of occupations people can select to populate their tax forms. The change due to the growing number of influencers who need to file taxes. And on the Hill, House lawmakers working on a bipartisan piece of legislation to create a federal tax credit to help companies train employees on artificial intelligence. This to boost U.S. competitiveness without sidelining workers. The proposal comes as Congress increasingly focuses on job displacement and upskilling amid rapid AI adoption. And in Hollywood, Warner Brothers is considering reopening sale talks with Paramount Skydance. Bloomberg reporting the studio received an amended offer and the board is discussing. In New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
It's 12:39. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 1241, a piece of history found in Lake Michigan after nearly a 60-year search. The luxury steamer Lac La Belle was discovered about 20 miles offshore between Racine and Kenosha. The steamer sank in October 1872. 53 passengers and crew were on board. 8 people died after one of the lifeboats from that ship capsized. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano is putting on a show. Once again, the volcano began erupting on Sunday afternoon, spewing lava about 1,000 feet into the air. The National Weather Service reported plumes up as high as 35,000 feet above sea level. There were no reports of ash falling to the ground. Kilauea is one of the state's 6 active volcanoes. This is video from the USGS from overnight.
That
Beautiful
is unbelievable.
to see, isn't it?
That is.
I want to see it in person. What do you say? Let's go.
No, wouldn't that be incredible?
Gorgeous.
Look, but don't touch.
Right?
I know, me too.
Right?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Your finger in that. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Looks like glitter. It's just glitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something.
Wow.
Too cool. All right, different story back here.
Look at the
that.
people outside
Hey.
enjoying this mild weather, huh, Caitlin?
I'm not surprised. So it looks like the ice rink is closed, huh? Maybe?
It should be, considering
Right?
how warm, huh?
I would say so. Okay, so it's very gusty out there. That's the only hiccup in our forecast this afternoon. That's where I want to start. So wind speeds gusting currently at about 30 miles per hour for many of us. 29 miles per hour at O'Hare, 31 in Aurora, 29 in Morris. These winds are going to continue to be strong for a few more hours before they start to back off, but it's coming in out of the south. So this wind is actually helping drive those temperatures into the 60s. By this evening, 5, 6 o'clock, winds are down to about 15 to 20 miles per hour, and tonight down to about 5 to 10. Right now, you're stepping out the door to 60 at the lakefront and Midway, 59 in O'Hare, 63 at LaSalle, with highs today pushing to the mid-60s southwest, low 60s from downtown to O'Hare and Midway. Tonight, staying in the upper 30s to about 40 degrees. It's going to be a very mild night. Tomorrow, temperatures back to the upper 50s, another wonderful day. But then we have the chance for some rain moving in. So here's our futurecast for today. Again, the main headline being just the gusty winds and the nice temperatures. Heading into tomorrow afternoon and evening, the chance for rain is creeping back to Chicagoland. You can see 4 o'clock on your Tuesday. Scattered rain starts to move in. And Tuesday night into early Wednesday, we have the chance for a few thunderstorms to rumble on by. Then we're drying out for a short time before wet weather returns Thursday into Friday. 7-day forecast shows temperatures are also on a bit of a roller coaster. This week, 50s and 60s, back to 64 degrees Wednesday, Thursday around 57, down to 43. On Friday. Then this weekend, that's when the 30s are back. So the chilly temperatures, that winter feel is returning back to where we should be in the 30s Saturday and Sunday. But in the meantime, we have a long stretch of very mild weather ahead. For today, again, if you are going to be heading outside, it might be a little bit gusty, but temperatures will be nice. And also to note, tomorrow morning we could see some fog develop yet again. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Caitlin. Appreciate it. Well, partial government shutdown is underway after lawmakers, again, failed to reach a deal on legislation to fund the Department of Homeland Security through September.
But DHS isn't the only shutdown wreaking havoc on Washington right now. Madeline Rivera is in the nation's capital with the latest on that.
For decades, Washington's been called the swamp, but they didn't mean this. D.C. water officials are urging residents to stay out of the Potomac River as the cleanup of one of the largest sewage spills in U.S. history becomes increasingly more complicated with recent snowmelt and debris bubbling up.
I mean, if you have an open cut or anything, typically we don't want to get our hands in the water because, it could be dangerous.
This all started a month ago when a sewer pipe collapsed, sending millions of gallons of raw sewage into the river. D.C. officials are telling residents not to touch the Potomac.
As far as the impacts to potential impacts to human health, I think it remains to be seen, and I think it remains, how vigilant people are.
But as the river remains shut down in Washington, so too is the Department of Homeland Security. Shut down over the weekend after Congress failed to pass a bill to fund its operations before a stopgap measure lapsed.
Well, this shutdown, it hurts the American people. And the bottom line is we can't afford instability within Homeland Security.
This as Democrats are demanding reforms to immigration enforcement practices, including tightening warrant requirements, prohibiting masks for federal immigration officers, and ending roving patrols. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's time for Republicans to get on board.
Because it's so common sense and so much supported by the American people. They're losing support every day by not supporting these common sense proposals.
And it's unclear when both shutdowns will end. Congress is on recess until February 23rd, and D.C. Water has warned the Potomac spill can take as long as 10 months to clean up. In Washington, Mala Rivera, Fox News.
Developing news, a new report is claiming DePaul and Loyola University steer low-income families toward expensive loans while offering tuition breaks to students from wealthier families.
Now, the schools are among 41 private and public institutions that were named in this report. It was done by a progressive think tank called New America. That report claims that these schools are giving Pell Grant recipients federal plus loans that they can't afford to pay back. The report broke down the data, and here are the results. At Loyola, it found that about 48% of PLUS loan borrowers were parents of Pell Grant recipients, and the average amount owed was around $46,000. Now, at DePaul, about 53% of the PLUS borrowers were parents of Pell recipients, and those families owed an average of $33,000. In a statement, a DePaul spokesperson says in part that the university is transparent with families about their loan options and that ultimately families make the decision to proceed with loans as they see fit. That statement goes on to say that families taking out federal plus loans are required to complete loan counseling before signing. We also reached out to Loyola about this report. We have not heard back.
After a devastating fire tore through an Englewood church, its congregation is worshiping once again. Renewal Life Church opened its doors on Sunday at a temporary space in South Shore. That fire last Thanksgiving destroyed the building on 58th and Emerald. Months later, they're open for worship in a building on 74th and Stony Island in the South Shore.
We wanted to share with the world that recovery is possible in the midst of times where many people felt like, what do we do next? A lot of our church members were like, all right, so do we need to find a new church? And some people are discouraged. We didn't even know we were reaching people in Michigan. And so people started sending things in the mail and donating and helping us around the country.
The pastor says that fire also destroyed the offices of several small businesses and his campaign office as he is running for Congress as well. There is a link on the church website for any donations. Today's President's Day, and in Illinois, we think of our title as the land of Lincoln.
Yes, Tia Ewing begins our Chicago Live interviews with the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum in Springfield. That should be fascinating, Tia.
Absolutely fascinating, and this is just one of the amazing stories that we have coming up on Chicago Live. We want to bring into the conversation Christina Schutt. She's the executive director of the Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum right in Springfield. Good morning, or I should say afternoon to you, Christina. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join our show.
Oh, thanks for having me today.
Let's talk about this. So there's an exhibit there. It's highly new. Talk about it and why it's so important for people to come check you guys out there in Springfield.
So Lincoln, the life and legacy that defined a nation, really is an opportunity for people to maybe learn about Lincoln in a way they haven't before. You know, we learned that sort of one-line, two-line sentence in history. And one of the things I love about the exhibit is it really explores Lincoln through the objects that he owned. It explores Lincoln through the stories of everyday Americans who impacted his life and who influenced the decisions that he made.
You know, Christina, when we talk about presidents, a lot of times we're talking about books. And not that books are boring. Books can be very interesting. But talk about why it was so important to tell his story through artifacts instead of a traditional biography.
Well, I think what's great about artifacts is we can connect with them in meaningful ways. You know, one of my favorite pieces is actually the very last spoon that Lincoln ever used. And we can all, you know, we've all used a spoon in eating before. And so, you know, being able to connect with him in that way, or objects that tell stories like a child's toy, a small cannon that was made for his son, Tad. So I think these are those ways that we connect with people on that personal level, on that human level. It helps take our presidents from these men that were sort of cast into the side of a mountain or who have sculptures about them into these real personal everyday stories that really capture the essence of who they were as men.
Christina, you talked about the spoon, you talked about the toys, 100 objects made the cut. Tell us about some of the other objects and how did you decide on these 100 objects in particular?
Well, it was really hard picking those 100 objects. I mean, I have to say, you know, some of my other favorites that we feature in the book are things like the Emancipation Proclamation, live signed by Abraham Lincoln, things like the Gettysburg Address that Lincoln wrote in his own hand. And I think what's really cool is we have those iconic images and those iconic objects, but we also have everyday things like a little 4.5 girl. She made a pinafore dress, an Americana apron that she wore with her mother to all of the political speeches that summer. And I think that's one of the things that's really cool is you're not just getting the kind of great men, the great pieces of history that you think about when we think about something like President's Day or Abraham Lincoln. You're also getting those everyday stories from everyday Americans that are impacting and influencing Lincoln and who he becomes as president.
You know, Christina, someone may be watching right now and say, you know, I haven't made it to the state's capital in a while. Tell us about your specific, museum there and why people should come and check you out.
Well, one of the things I love is we're a short train ride from Chicago. We're literally 2 blocks from the train station, so it's a great opportunity to bring the whole family. You know, we're not just an experience just for the adults in the group or the readers. We have children's experiences all the time. We have opportunities for teachers to learn online. So whether you come in person or whether you visit us online, it's really a great opportunity to learn more about American history and learn about how it shapes us, not just for the, in the past, but really how it's shaped us into our present time.
Christina, while we have you still, go ahead and give us your website. Maybe somebody wants to go check it out later. Maybe they'll make, weekend plans out of it so that they can come and visit you there in Springfield.
Absolutely. Our website is presidentlincoln.illinois.gov. We're also on all major social media channels.
Christina, we appreciate you. Happy President's Day. Thank you so much for taking time out and talking about, something that a lot of people may not have known, 100 objects. That is absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me today.
All right. And if you are watching right now, don't forget Chicago Live starts up at 1 o'clock. We go all the way until 4 o'clock. Make sure that you tune in. We'll see you on every social media platform, everywhere that Fox 32 is streaming. We'll see you then. Sylvia and Anthony, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Tia. Very cool. Well,
Yeah.
Did you know that we walk amongst meteoric space dust every single day, like actual particles from space?
This is wild. This is wild. Kind of blows your mind. The Field Museum has found a way to collect and analyze the dust so we can see what it looks like up close. Here's Dane Placco with more.
So currently we are standing on the rooftop of Field Museum. We are here for collecting cosmic dust.
Cosmic dust?
Yes.
Up here?
Yes.
The views of Chicago's skyline and Lake Michigan are fabulous, but it's the acres of Field Museum rooftop that fascinates scientist Basil Salim and museum program director Rudy Alvsmeyer.
It's really special. I've done a lot of fun things here at the museum, but this one is definitely unique.
But finding that space dust isn't easy. Usually scientists travel to the Antarctic or remote places where there's little man-made pollution to find the micrometeorites that survive the fiery trip through Earth's atmosphere. Some 40,000 tons of space dust per year. But instead of an expensive expedition, they thought, why not just take a look on the roof?
This is like a zero-budget space mission. Going to Antarctica is not that easy. Going for a deep-sea expedition is not that easy. So here, you just come to the rooftop. You just come with a magnet. That's our secret weapon.
And here's that weapon, a long, powerful magnet anchored to a metal pole suspended from a pair of ropes. A simple concept to snag some pretty rare dust.
This was a design that Basil came up with, so really we're just trying to cover a lot of surface area and pick up any magnetic debris so that we can essentially look at it later and see what we have and ideally find some micrometeorites.
And like modern-day chimney sweeps, they use a broom to dislodge dust from the rooftop gutters, then sweep a magnet covered with paper to pull out potential space debris.
Take out the magnet. Yes, we have the dust here.
Then it's down to the lab, where the dust particles are put under an optical microscope for sorting.
These are the magnetic particles that we collected from the rooftop.
They're looking for the round balls called spherules, a signature shape forged by burning through the atmosphere.
You can see here, this one, this one.
Those spherules are sorted out, then put under a scanning electron microscope for an even closer look.
And we are going to look more magnified. We are going to look into more details of these spherules to confirm whether these are cosmic dust or not.
And this is the telltale sign, a burn scar that makes the tiny meteorite look like a ball of yarn.
So it's a rapid heating as well as cooling. So it will produce a specific type of texture that is mostly common for these micrometeorites.
Finally, they perform chemical analysis for nickel, iron, and chromium, elements common in space dust.
So now we are confirming, okay, this is something which is from
outer space.
I think it's amazing to find stardust, cosmic dust on the roof in an urban area.
Philip Heck is the field's top meteorite scientist. He says they've even been able to determine where the space dust comes from.
This cosmic dust comes from a variety of planets. Most of them come from asteroids, from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but some of them come also from further out.
After a journey of millions of years and billions of miles, these tiny specks of stardust will join their big cousins in the field's display of meteorites from all over the world, as the scientists head back to the rooftop to wish upon a star. At the Field Museum, Dane Placco, Fox Chicago.
Okay, that is super cool. I had no idea.
I had no idea either. And now we know where. Apparently, there's an asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars, and we've got the dust right down here on Earth.
Okay, I have not been to the Field Museum in a while. I think it's time to go back.
It's time to revisit.
Right?
Yeah,
Very
it's
fun.
I've gone with my kids from time to time. They do a fantastic job. Of course,
don't they?
They're less obsessed with space and more obsessed with dinosaurs, and they've got all the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was going to say you're in the perfect spot, though.
That's
Love
right.
that. That's going to do it for us here at Fox 32 News at noon.
All right, the news will continue on Chicago Live on Fox Local with Tia today. And we hope you get out there and enjoy this gorgeous weather to start the work week.
It is a nice one. Hope to see you back here on the news at 4.